Pressure is often seen as something negative, something that weighs us down and overwhelms us. But in reality, pressure can be one of the most powerful catalysts for growth if we choose to embrace it rather than fear it. Much like the pressure that transforms coal into a diamond, the challenges we face under pressure can shape us into stronger, more resilient versions of ourselves. It forces us to step outside our comfort zones, push our boundaries, and evolve in ways we never thought possible. I've learned this firsthand in my own life, from my early days in Bollywood to transitioning into Hollywood and everything in between. Each step of my journey has been fueled by some form of pressure. When I won the Miss World pageant in 2000, there was a sudden surge of expectations placed on me. People expected me to be perfect, to succeed effortlessly, but what they didn't see was the pressure that came with that success. The world was watching, and the weight of those expectations was immense. Yet, rather than letting it break me, I chose to see it as an opportunity for growth. It was the pressure to perform, to prove myself, that pushed me to strive harder, to improve my craft, and to expand my horizons. The pressure to succeed, to meet others' expectations, often brings us face to face with our deepest fears and insecurities. It challenges us in ways we never imagined, but that is exactly where the magic happens. It forces us to confront our limitations, and in doing so, we realize that they are not as limiting as we once believed. When you are under pressure, you can either crumble or rise. I chose to rise. Every project I've taken on, every role I've played, has been met with a certain level of pressure, and each time I've grown from it. I've also realized that embracing pressure is not just about achieving external success, but about personal growth as well. It teaches you things about yourself that you might not otherwise discover. When you're forced to face difficult situations, to overcome obstacles, you learn how to adapt, to think differently, to be resourceful. These lessons don't come easily, but they are invaluable. Pressure challenges us to be our best selves, to dig deeper, to work harder, and to keep going even when the odds are stacked against us. Sometimes we allow the fear of pressure to stop us from pursuing what we want, but pressure is not something to be feared. It is something to be harnessed. It's the force that pushes us to grow beyond our limits and become better versions of ourselves. Rather than trying to avoid pressure, we should learn how to embrace it. View it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Understand that it is through pressure that we are forced to find new solutions, to innovate, to become more creative and resourceful. It's the kind of force that shapes us, makes us better, and prepares us for the challenges ahead. Embracing pressure as a catalyst for growth doesn't mean that it will always be easy. There will be tough moments, there will be failures, but those are the moments that teach us the most. It's through pressure that we learn resilience, strength, and determination, and ultimately it's pressure that helps us unlock the power within ourselves to achieve the impossible. The road to success is often depicted as a smooth, straight path lined with markers of achievement and recognition. But in reality, the journey to success is anything but comfortable. It's full of twists, turns, detours, and roadblocks. Success is not handed to anyone on a silver platter. It's earned through hard work, resilience, and the willingness to step out of your comfort zone. If there's one thing I've learned throughout my career, it's that the path to success requires embracing discomfort, overcoming obstacles, and being willing to endure challenges that test your limits. From the moment I stepped into the world of entertainment, I knew that comfort would never be my companion. The first big leap I took was when I entered the Miss World pageant. The idea of representing my country on an international stage was both exhilarating and terrifying. I had to compete with women from all over the world, each one more accomplished and more prepared than I was. But the moment I chose to step onto that stage, I left comfort behind. I embraced the uncertainty, the pressure, and the fear, knowing that only by pushing myself would I find the success I was looking for. Success in any field, whether it's acting, entrepreneurship, sports, or anything else, demands that we step outside of what's familiar and comfortable. The best opportunities often lie beyond our comfort zones, in spaces where we have to adapt, learn, and grow. When I transitioned from Bollywood to Hollywood, I was met with countless challenges. I was no longer the big fish in a small pond. I had to prove myself all over again in a new industry with a different set of rules and expectations. It was daunting, and there were times when I questioned whether I was on the right path. But I knew that staying in my comfort zone would never allow me to achieve the things I wanted. I had to take risks, make bold decisions, and face the discomfort of being a newcomer in an entirely different world. Throughout my career, I've realized that the most significant growth happens during the times when you feel most uncomfortable. It's easy to stay where things are familiar, where the pressure is low and the risks are minimal, but that's not where success is born. Success is born in the moments of discomfort, in the times when we're faced with challenges that make us question our abilities. It's in those moments that we rise. We learn new skills, discover hidden strengths, and unlock our true potential. It's not easy, but it's worth it. There have been moments when I've felt like giving up, when the pressure felt overwhelming and the journey seemed endless. But those very moments, as difficult as they were, became the foundation for my growth. Success doesn't come to those who sit back and wait for the world to hand it to them. It comes to those who take risks, who embrace discomfort, who keep moving forward despite the obstacles in their way. The road to success is never going to be paved with comfort. It's going to be messy, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to push you to your limits. But the rewards that come from overcoming the discomfort, from persevering through the tough times, are immeasurable. So, if you want to succeed, you have to be willing to leave the comfort of the familiar behind. You have to be willing to face the discomfort, take the risks, and keep going when the road gets tough. Only then will you find the success you're truly capable of. Pressure has a unique way of testing our character and revealing our true potential. It's often during the most difficult times, when we feel like we're at our breaking point, that pressure teaches us resilience. Resilience is not something that's simply given to us. It's something that we develop through challenges, setbacks, and adversity. Pressure, while uncomfortable, is one of the most effective ways to cultivate resilience, to push ourselves beyond what we thought we were capable of, and to learn how to stand strong in the face of uncertainty. I've experienced this in many aspects of my life, particularly in my career. There was a time when I transitioned from being a successful actress in Bollywood to stepping into the international arena of Hollywood. The pressure was intense. I was stepping into an industry where I wasn't known, where I had to prove myself all over again. It wasn't easy. I faced doubts, criticism, and many obstacles along the way. But with every piece of feedback, every challenge, I chose to see it as an opportunity to build resilience. Pressure teaches you resilience by forcing you to confront difficult situations head-on. When things don't go as planned, when failure feels imminent, it's easy to give up, to let the pressure break you. But what I've learned over the years is that the key to resilience is not avoiding pressure, but embracing it. It's about pushing through the discomfort, standing tall in the face of adversity, and choosing to fight, even when you feel like you have nothing left to give. Each time I've faced pressure, whether it's been a difficult role, a challenging project, or a personal setback, I've had to remind myself that this pressure is a tool. It's a tool that will either break me or build me. It's in the moments when we feel the most pressure that we uncover our strength. When we feel like we can't take another step, that's when we learn to keep moving forward. Resilience is built in those moments of struggle. It's about finding the strength to rise up, dust ourselves off, and keep going, even when the road ahead seems impossible. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that pressure isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. It's in those difficult moments that we discover what we're made of. Resilience is about learning from our failures, about bouncing back stronger than before, and about trusting in our ability to weather the storm. When we experience pressure, we often don't realize that we are building the very qualities that will help us succeed in the future. The courage to try again after failure, the patience to keep working when things don't go as planned, and the strength to persevere through adversity. All of these are the gifts pressure gives us. Pressure also teaches us how to adapt. It pushes us to find new solutions when things aren't going our way. It challenges us to think outside the box, to be more resourceful, and to innovate when faced with a problem. These are the building blocks of resilience. Through pressure, we learn to become more flexible, more adaptable, and more capable of handling whatever comes our way. In the end, pressure isn't just something we endure, it's something that shapes us. It teaches us resilience by showing us how strong we truly are, by pushing us to our limits, and by helping us discover the strength we didn't know we had. Rather than being something that holds us back, pressure is the force that propels us forward, teaching us how to stand firm, how to adapt, and how to keep fighting no matter what. And that ultimately is what makes us resilient. Pressure, when harnessed correctly, can be a powerful tool to fuel your passion and drive you toward your goals. Often we associate pressure with stress, anxiety, and the feeling of being overwhelmed. However, if you shift your perspective and approach it with the right mindset, pressure can be a tremendous motivator, propelling you to give your best and push forward with unwavering determination. I've learned this lesson time and again throughout my journey in both Bollywood and Hollywood, and the key is to use pressure as the fuel that ignites your passion and drives you to succeed. When you are passionate about something, whether it's acting, writing, entrepreneurship, or any other endeavor, there will always be a certain level of pressure. The desire to succeed, the pressure of meeting expectations, the fear of failure, and the challenges that come with growth all create a sense of urgency and intensity. But rather than letting that pressure paralyze you or make you second, guess yourself, embrace it. Channel it into what you love and let it become the energy that propels you forward. For me, acting has always been my passion. When I first started out in the industry, there was an immense amount of pressure to prove myself. Every project felt like a test, and with each role I took on, there were always higher expectations and new challenges. However, instead of allowing that pressure to overwhelm me, I allowed it to fuel my passion. The pressure to succeed pushed me to dive deeper into my characters, to hone my skills, and to keep pushing myself further than I ever thought possible. The thought of not living up to my potential, of not giving my all to a project, was far more uncomfortable than the pressure itself. So, I used that pressure as a constant reminder of why I do what I do. The most important thing about using pressure to fuel your passion is to stay connected to the reason you're doing it in the first place. Passion is a driving force. It's what keeps you going when times get tough, when you feel like you can't take another step. When pressure is high, it's easy to lose sight of why you started, but this is when you need to return to your roots and remember the core of your passion. For me, it's the love for storytelling, the joy of being able to bring characters to life, and the impact I can have through my work. That passion helps me navigate through the most challenging moments and allows me to turn pressure into productivity. Pressure can also fuel your passion by making you more focused. When you feel the weight of expectations, whether from yourself or others, you become laser, focused on the task at hand. You know that you can't afford to waste time, that every moment counts, and that you need to give your best in everything you do. This heightened focus can bring out your creativity and innovation, pushing you to find new ways to approach problems and to develop solutions you might not have considered without that pressure. Moreover, pressure encourages growth. It forces you to evolve, to adapt, and to improve. When you're under pressure, you can't afford to stay stagnant. You are compelled to develop new skills, take on new challenges, and push beyond your comfort zone. Each time you overcome pressure, you grow stronger and more confident, and your passion deepens because you're able to see the fruits of your hard work and dedication. In the end, pressure isn't something to be feared. Instead, it's an opportunity to fuel your passion, to work harder, to dig deeper, and to prove to yourself what you're capable of. It's the fire that can ignite your drive and propel you toward your goals. By embracing the pressure and using it as a tool, You can unlock new levels of creativity, focus, and determination that will take you places you never imagined possible. So, don't let pressure break you, use it to fuel your passion and keep moving forward with purpose and strength. Every one of us has a unique story shaped by our experiences, choices, and the paths we decide to take. Yet, as we grow and move through life, it's easy to fall into the trap of letting external pressures define who we are. Society, family, peers, and even our own self. Doubt can create a narrative that doesn't belong to us, one that's shaped by expectations, comparisons, and fear. But the truth is, your story is your own, and it is unlike anyone else's. You have the power to define your own path, to embrace the challenges and the pressures that come your way without allowing them to take control of your identity. When I reflect on my own journey, there have been countless moments where I could have let pressure take over. As a young woman growing up in India, I faced expectations at every turn, from how I should look to how I should behave. When I entered the entertainment industry, those pressures intensified. People had preconceived notions of who I should be, what roles I should play, and how my career should unfold, but I had to remind myself that I was not defined by other people's expectations. I was defined by my own choices, my own aspirations, and my own resilience. There were times when I felt like I didn't belong or when I questioned whether I was making the right decision, especially when stepping from Bollywood into Hollywood. The pressure was immense. Hollywood is a very different world, and as an outsider, I had to prove myself over and over again. The comparisons to other actresses were endless. People questioned whether I would succeed, if I could bridge the gap between two very different film industries. But it was in those moments of uncertainty that I learned one of the most valuable lessons. Asterisk, your uniqueness is your strength, not your weakness, asterisk. I realized that I didn't need to fit into someone else's mold or measure up to someone else's journey. I needed to embrace my own story, take pride in the challenges I had overcome, and trust that the path I was carving was the right one for me. It's so easy to get caught up in what other people think or expect from you. Pressure comes in many forms, but the most insidious is the pressure to be someone you're not. The truth is, when you try to live according to other people's expectations, you lose sight of what makes you unique. You forget why you started in the first place, what you truly care about, and what makes you feel alive. Pressure can distort your vision, but only if you allow it to. The key is to stay connected to who you are at your core. Understand that your story is a product of your experiences, your values, and your passions, not of what others think you should be. When you let go of the fear of judgment, when you stop trying to fit into a mold that isn't yours, you give yourself permission to truly shine. Pressure can be an external force, but it doesn't have to define you. Your journey is about embracing your individuality, trusting your instincts, and staying true to what drives you. The people who inspire us the most, the ones who make the greatest impact, are those who embrace their uniqueness and never let pressure or societal expectations dictate their worth. They understand that their journey is theirs alone, and they walk it with conviction, authenticity, and courage. So, the next time you feel the weight of the world pushing you in a direction that doesn't feel right, remember, asterisk, your story is yours to write, asterisk. Don't let pressure define who you are or where you're going. Embrace your individuality, trust your journey, and know that the path you're on is uniquely yours, one that only you can walk with purpose and passion. Pressure is often seen as something that burdens us, something we try to avoid at all costs. It feels heavy, overwhelming, and sometimes suffocating. But as I've experienced time and again throughout my career, pressure, if managed correctly, doesn't break you. It strengthens you. In fact, it has the power to shape you, to push you beyond your limits, and to help you uncover strengths you didn't know you had. The truth is, when faced with pressure, we have two choices. We can allow it to overwhelm us, or we can use it to build resilience, determination, and character. When I reflect on my own life, the moments where I felt the most pressure were often the moments where I grew the most. The transition from Bollywood to Hollywood was one of those moments. It was a leap into the unknown, a decision to challenge myself and take on something entirely new. The pressure was intense. I was entering an industry where I wasn't a household name, where I had to prove myself from the ground up. At the time, it felt like a monumental challenge, but in hindsight, that pressure was what made me push forward. It taught me to adapt, to find my voice, and to take risks in ways I had never done before. In those moments of doubt, when the pressure felt suffocating, I reminded myself that pressure is what forces growth. It's what separates those who succeed from those who give up. It's easy to look at someone's success and think it was achieved without struggle, without difficulty. But success rarely comes without pressure. What we see on the surface is often the result of years of hard work, setbacks, and challenges. Every time I faced a setback, whether it was a rejection, a failed project, or a tough critique, I felt the pressure. But instead of letting it break me, I learned from it. I used it as a stepping stone, something that made me stronger. Pressure forces us to confront our weaknesses, to take a closer look at where we need to improve, and to get comfortable with discomfort. It teaches us that failure is not the end, but an opportunity for growth. In fact, pressure has a way of bringing out qualities in us that we might not have discovered otherwise. It forces us to become more resourceful, more creative, and more determined. When things don't go as planned, it's pressure that pushes us to find new solutions, to try different approaches, and to keep moving forward, even when it feels like all hope is lost. With every challenge, every obstacle, we develop resilience. We learn to bounce back from failure, to stay focused on our goals, and to keep working towards them, no matter how tough the journey gets. Pressure, in its purest form, is a test. It's a test of character, of perseverance, and of strength. And while it may not be easy, it is through facing pressure that we discover how strong we truly are. When we push through the tough moments, we emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever comes next. It's not about avoiding pressure, but about embracing it and using it to fuel our journey. In the end, the challenges and pressures we face are what make us stronger. They shape us, build our character, and teach us the invaluable lesson that we are capable of more than we ever thought possible. The road may be tough, the pressure may feel intense, but it's only by embracing that pressure that we truly grow. So when faced with pressure, don't back down, let it drive you, let it shape you, and let it make you stronger.